Yes, yes. We are live. Once again, ladies and gentlemen, we are live. I'm not going to waste any time because I'm excited. As you can hear in my voice, I'm excited. Let me tell you what I'm on right now. Crystal Geyser with a cube of ice, ladies and gentlemen. I'm hydrated. Yes, I am. I'm feeling really good because we have a special guest for you today, ladies and gentlemen. We really do. We really have a special guest for you today. Hey, everybody, make sure you hit that like and that subscription button. Follow by the notification button. Don't you forget to turn that on, ladies and gentlemen. I have a special guest for you today. This woman, I ran across her social media site about a month ago, and I got locked in over there. I couldn't get out of there. I couldn't get away. I was really just taken by the woman's page. Really clean. I mean, just an amazing human being. Just a wonderful human being is what I'm trying to tell you, ladies and gentlemen. She's a singer. I'm sure she writes. She is a performer. She's going to tell you a lot more about what she has going on. She's an educator. This woman is amazing, ladies and gentlemen. When I talk about wonderful human beings, this is what I speak of. Hello, everybody. Come on in. That wonderful guest that I'm speaking of, ladies and gentlemen, is the one and only Dara Tucker, ladies and gentlemen.
Hello.
Somebody.
Hello.
How are you feeling?
I'm feeling pretty good. How are you doing?
I'm glad you asked. Wait 1 second. Let me fix the audio 1 second. Let me fix something. Bam. Now we're back.
Okay.
Got you now. I'm doing pretty good. How about yourself?
I'm good. Doing really well. Can you hear me?
Got you.
Okay.
Got you. Okay. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing pretty good. You're in New York, right?
Yeah, I'm in the New York area. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Right now, I need to give you some flowers.
Okay.
I got some flowers I got to give you.
Okay.
I have flowers that are definitely that do for you. Listen, I was scrolling through TikTok because I'm new on TikTok. I'm new on TikTok. TikTok, my material is a lot for TikTok. So they're like, hey, man, you got to slow down. You may want to take that back over to Instagram.
Yeah.
And as I'm scrolling, I come across you. And it wasn't even the storytelling yet. This was you just educating about Black history. And I thought it was very informative. I thought it's very well spoken. And you have this voice, this angelic voice that is just, it has Disney written all over it. You got a Disney throat. You understand me? You have a Disney throat.
Hilarious. Not the first time I've heard that. That's hilarious though.
And that's all kudos to you. Where did you come from? Like you're amazing.
Oh, thank you.
You an artist. You have an album.
Mm-hmm.
You speak how many languages? You speak several languages.
Just two.
I'm just overwhelmed. You are just an awesome lady. You are.
Oh, you are really kind. Thank you, DLai. I appreciate that.
Yeah, and my fans will appreciate you. My fans will definitely appreciate you.
Thank you. Well, I was born in Oklahoma, actually Tulsa, Oklahoma, the buckle of the Bible Belt. I was like deep in it. That's my upbringing. Minister father, music minister father. My mother was a singer. My grandmother was a pastor. So I was born and bred in it. It was just church all day long. So I've had to make, my own journey away from all of that. When I first started singing jazz, which is my primary genre, I do a lot, but that's my primary genre. And when I first started doing that, I mean, that was controversial within my family. It was just like, you're going to, like straight up Pentecostal, my father was raised in a Pentecostal church. His grandmother was a Pentecostal pastor, but then he kind of came out of that and did the more kind of evangelical, I would say word of faith, like Joel Osteen type of church. So the churches he ministered in was that, but in neither environment was it okay to do what I do now. So it's been a journey. I've always been a little bit of the rebel of my family. Okay. So just kind of forging my own path, hence the German studies and just living in Switzerland and moving to New York and performing jazz and just all kinds of stuff that I just got into that was just interesting for me. But nobody said I could, no one ever really gave permission to do it.
So it's safe to say you're the first person, the first entertainer in your family to kind of branch out.
Yeah, I was the first person to graduate college. Did international business and German studies, and then just kind of decided that world wasn't fulfilling for me for a lot of reasons. And that artistic thing was just too strong. Mm-hmm. So yeah, as far as singing just any kind of secular music at all,
it was a no-go.
Yeah, it was like, it was scandal, you know?
Yeah.
It really was.
Okay. Now, you don't know this, but my daddy is a pastor.
Really?
Yeah.
In what church? Like what denomination?
I don't know. They just told me preach. I don't know him like that. They just told me he got a church in the sea out there.
Okay.
So, just okay. So I'm still a PK. I'm still a PK.
Right.
Now listen, this is what I want to get into, because this is what intrigued me about you. You spent some time on cruise ships.
Yeah.
Right? Mm-hmm. Now, what I have in common with that is I got a chance to perform on a cruise ship once, right before COVID. It was an amazing show. Sinbad, Michael Collier, just great show. Preacher Lawson, just an amazing show.
Yeah.
And I got a chance to see a lot of. I'm a sucker for lounge singing. That that jazzy vibe. Like I like that, and I found myself just searching for lounges and places to go on the vessel. And then I found out that you did some time on the cruise ships. Tell me about some times on the cruise ship.
Yeah, it was one of those ships. I don't know if I can say the name of the cruise liner. I'm always nervous about I don't want to say too much about the specific liner. But it was one of the kind of more upscale, not absolutely elite lines, but it was one of the more upscale ones that people pay, $5,000, $6,000, $7,000, $8,000 per cruise to be on. So they had a dedicated jazz lounge, and they had a lot of different bands. I mean, they had a calypso band, they had an a cappella band, they had show bands, all kinds of different bands throughout the ship. But our primary thing wasn't necessarily to be in the big theater with the big show. Our thing was to be in the jazz lounge. And that's what we were hired for. So yeah, people, when they hear cruise ship singer, because I'm sure the type of cruise that you did, you were like a featured artist. It was probably like a comedy cruise or something like that, where people came to see, specific names and they knew what they were getting into. Versus what I did, which was, I was an employee of an agency that hired people to come out on ships we were out there for 6 months. We were out there in the Mediterranean for 3 months, Caribbean for 3 months.
How many shows per night?
2, 3, like we probably did a good 4-hour block every night. And there were some days where they would have us perform like in the afternoon. And I tended to let my band handle those if it was earlier in the, 5, 6 o'clock for the cocktail hour. Yeah. But generally they would have us there from it was probably 8 to midnight, generally, every day. Yeah. And some days we would work 7 days straight, and then we would have usually 1 day off per cruise. So they would do 7-day cruises, 10-day cruises. So we would usually get one or 2 days off per cruise. So it wasn't compared to a lot of the work. We couldn't complain because compared to a lot of the workers on that ship, we had it easy. I've been telling stories about this recently. So it's all kind of, these memories are kind of coming back where this is probably 10 years ago that I did this. But what people don't understand about they may not realize about ships, especially if they don't cruise very much, is that those environments are very, there's like I don't want to call it racist necessarily.
Call it.
Racism. Yeah, it amounts to racism. I've had some people challenge me in my comments on TikTok about calling it that. But it's like, like India has a caste system where only certain people can do certain things. And you can't really move past that, whatever caste that you're a part of. And that's kind of how it is on ships. I mean, all the Filipino people were dishwashers. They were working in the engine rooms. They were doing they were working in housekeeping, the cooks and stuff. They did all the unfavorable, low paying jobs. And then the Europeans, they were all the officers and the people in uniform, or they would maybe work in the casinos. And then the Americans mostly were the entertainers. And that's just how it was.
It sounds like a boat plantation. Like a plantation on the water.
Yeah, it totally was. And it was disturbing to us. I went out with my husband. He's my bass player. His name is Greg, and I'm telling you that because I probably will reference him a couple times in the night. But it was so disturbing. It's like, we're from the United States. We don't get down with that. It's like, yeah, there are separations between the races, but to see a system that was so very obviously like, I mean, it was like, we recruit from here for these workers, we recruit from this for these workers, and they do not mix. So it was already disturbing, even though we were at the top of the cast, other than the officers, we were probably, one of the more elite workers on the ship. So, and it's also it's not glamorous, even though we were part of the entertainment staff. Those rooms are, I'd probably generously say that they were about 10 feet by 8 feet. They were like a glorified walk-in closet. And you have bunk beds. So me and my husband like halfway switted.
Wait a minute, stop. No, you didn't say that.
Yes, they were.
Bunk bed. Wait a minute.
Bunk beds.
So who's got the top?
We switched, I think, for the Caribbean or for the Mediterranean, which was the first 3 months. I think I was on the top bunk, and for the Caribbean, which was the last 3 months, I had the bottom bunk. So we just wanted to make it fair, because on the bottom bunk you couldn't even sit up in your bed.
Right.
So,
yeah, like I said, that was the only cruise that I've ever been a part of. It was called the Capital Jazz Cruise.
Okay,
it's a black cruise. It's black.
Yeah. Oh, I know.
You know, everybody's on there.
Yes.
Keith Sweat.
Yeah.
Keith Sweat was on there. Drunk like normal. Drunk. Keith was drunk. Keith, let me tell you something. As say what you want, he drunk, but he still functions. Like, he still performs. He still nails it.
I believe it.
But and it's a black. And I got a chance to see some of the artists that I would listen to as a kid. Morris Day.
Wow.
I got a chance to see Morris Day, and it was just a different type of cruise. So those are not the type of cruises that you've performed on or have you?
No. I mean, there were a couple of specialty things that came through on the ship while we were on it. But yeah, being an employee like on the ship who lives there is a very different thing, because you all probably had decent staterooms.
Yeah, staterooms is what they call them. Staterooms.
Yeah, we had no window, literally just 8 by 12 bunk beds, a tiny little airplane shower. It was like as small as a
like
bathroom would be on the airplane.
Looks like a little tube.
Yeah, with a shower. And
we had different setups. I had like a balcony. The entertainers did have different setups.
Yeah.
From the rest of the people in there. So are you getting back out on the cruises, or are you done with cruising?
Oh, no. I only did that one. It was a lot. It was a whole lot to deal with. So no, I don't have the stomach for it anymore. I want to go back out and just experience. I had a chance, and this is the other story I probably will tell you. I had the chance to go out and experience that as a passenger, which is a totally different thing. Somebody was in my comments today like, oh, well, you're only telling the negative, and I'm sure there were plenty of positive things that happened. I've been on 20 cruises and they're all wonderful. I said, well, your experience as a passenger would be 180 degrees from what my experience was as a crew member. It is not the same thing. Trust me. I'm like, it's not that I don't have good memories. I do. But, there was a lot that went down. People would get drunk and they would grab your microphone while you were trying to sing. They would tell you any and everything they wanted to about. One lady got my CD. She looked at it and said, "You don't look like you do on your CD. You look
no, you didn't."
They'll get up in your face. These people they're on vacation, and so it's just vacation brain, where they're just saying all kinds of inappropriate things. We had a couple of passengers that asked to sit in because they had won some kind of passenger contest, and they were terrible. That's all I can say. They were so horrible. We won the contest for the passengers, and we won the talent contest. So we want to sit in and sing. And everybody went, no, they're really good. They're so good. It was so bad. It was so bad. And as employees, you have to have that, approach like you would if you were working at a department store or something is you have to defer to the customers.
Right.
You know, you can't just say, get off my bandstand. You really can't. So yeah, it was just a lot of dealing with a lot of 60 and 70-year-old toddlers, you know.
That was my next question. That I was about to ask, what was the age range that you were performing for on the vessel?
Yeah, they were older, and this is another thing that, you know, gets crazy in the comments, just like, oh well, oh, you're exaggerating. I told people one of my first videos was for this cruise storytelling series that I'm doing on TikTok. One of the first things I said was people would be surprised to know how many passengers die on these ships. Like, it is not uncommon to have 2 to 3 passengers, sometimes more. Sometimes there would be 5, 6 passengers that would die every cruise. And I tried to explain, I'm like, these people, it's a more elite cruise line. So these are not just, it's not just the general population. These are older people who are, a lot of them retired or semi-retired, 70, 80 years old. A lot of them. The average age was probably 70 on our ships. So the morgue would get full. And what I've heard is, and this happened a couple times on our ship, if they throw an ice cream party, that means the morgue is filling up and they need to make room for more bodies. Because on some ships, the morgue and the place where they keep a lot of the frozen goods can be in the same area, in other words. So they may need to free up some room. So if you ever see, they'll do it for the crew. They did it for the crew a couple times. We're throwing an ice cream party. Everybody come to the crew mess hall and come get ice cream. It means too many people died on the ship for that particular run.
Wow. Well, let me ask, have you heard any incidents where people are jumping or accidental falls?
We heard stories that our, I can't remember our crew leader, our band director, musical director, told us on the last cruise that he was on, that one of the musicians just absolutely lost his mind and jumped off the back deck. The aft deck is what they call it. But that did not happen when we were on. I never witnessed anybody jump off the ship.
Right.
But what did happen is they had told us about all of these codes. So if you hear Bravo code, that means that there's a fire. And you'll hear this stuff. If you're on ships, you'll hear them call out these codes on the loudspeaker. And they try to be very calm about it because they don't want to panic people. You know, well, most people don't know what the codes mean. But a Bravo code is fire. And Alpha code, I think, is a medical emergency. Yeah, there's a morgue on the ship, by the way. Depending on the size of the ship, the morgue can share space and often does share space with the freezer, just the regular old freezer, which is why I say they sometimes will have to make room for more bodies. But what did happen is that, you know, they would tell us these codes. We have to go through a lot of safety training, a lot of emergency training. Every cruise, we have to go through this. And we had heard about these star codes, which is like a dire medical emergency. That means a death. And it was the middle of the night. Me and my husband were dead asleep, like probably 2 a.m. And we just hear this. It's just like this eerily calm voice. Star code, star code, star code. Just super calm. And it's that kind of calm that just wakes you up from a dead sleep. Like, it wasn't loud, it wasn't panic, but it was like, there's something seriously wrong. And he said, did you just hear that? And of course, we both knew what that meant. He said, did you just hear that? I was like, yes, I heard it. Did they just call a star code? He's like, yeah, we just sat there, you know, just in the dead of night. It just was such an eerie feeling in the dead of night to be sitting here being awakened by what you knew was some kind of either a murder or suicide or some kind of a tragic death. Because if it had just been somebody with a heart attack, they would have just handled that internally. But some incident, that's what it meant. An incident had happened. So we learned the next day that apparently a passenger on the 15th floor was supposedly, he was a sleepwalker. And he had wandered out to his balcony and fallen over the edge onto the 5th floor deck and died, unfortunately. So it was kind of the chatter of the ship, you know,
right.
Because it was a dramatic, you know, most time people die. I've heard stories, you know, when people die on these ships, that in order to not alert passengers, like if it happens in somebody's room, they'll probably leave the person in the room until
the ship docks.
I'm sorry.
Into the ship docks.
Yeah, well, not until it docks, until everybody goes to sleep.
Oh,
They'll leave the person because they don't want to be seen wheeling bodies around. That would be very, alarming. But what they'll do is just leave the person in there for the rest of the day, and then when things calm down, middle of the night, they'll go and get the person. A lot of times, what they'll do is put service trays or lids on top of the gurney. So they'll have a white sheet, and then they'll put the service trays and lids on top of it, so it looks like they're doing food service if anybody should encounter them.
Now, Dara, anytime we're in our hotel rooms now, and that the room service come, and we see that little white sheet, we're gonna be like, "Hey, lift that sheet up real quick. Let me see something."
If the thing looks a little too long or something bumpy, it don't quite look right, it happens. And I've heard casinos are the same. It's the same. It can be the same because the ship is, it's a floating casino is essentially what it is. It's a hotel and casino on the water. So yeah, there's a lot of similarities there.
Listen, Dara, I think you're amazing. I'm glad I got a chance to talk to you. I got a chance to introduce you to my audience. I want everybody that's in this live from Facebook, from YouTube, to make sure you follow this amazingly talented lady. But I would be remiss if I didn't ask. I would be scorned if I didn't ask, because some people in my live actually know who you are.
Oh, cool.
If you would mind giving us a tune or two, something from your album would be sweet.
Oh, sure. Okay, well, yeah, I just put out an album called Dreams of Waking. And it's a social justice album, and it talks about change and just, sparked by the whole George Floyd and Breonna Taylor and that kind of thing. So we wanted to kind of speak to the moment, but we put some happy kind of healing songs on that album as well, just from the jazz canon. So I'll sing one, a standard of mine, which is one of my all-time favorite songs, if I can remember the lyrics.
Take your time. Take your time.
Okay. Make someone happy. Make just one someone happy. Make just one heart the heart you cling to. One smile that cheers you. One face that lights when it nears you. One soul you're everything to. Love is the answer. Someone to love is the answer. When you find that one heart you will cling to, make someone happy. Make just one someone happy. You will be happy too.
Wow! Dara Tucker, everybody! Oh my gosh. Dara, thank you so much for joining us. I appreciate you. Where can we find that album? Let them know where we can get the album.
Oh, you can find it wherever albums are sold digitally. Everybody streams now. So it's Spotify, Amazon, Apple, Tidal, but you can also find it at Target online and at Walmart online. Dreams of Waking, Dara Tucker.
Ladies and gentlemen, the one and only, thank you so much. Dara Tucker, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you, Dara.
Thank you, ItsDLai. Thank you.